Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Igor Talks Wine. This is episode number 2. And I want to give, maybe this is kind of, I don't know, shopping guide, a kind of overview of my purchasing patterns also, prepping for shopping. So I want to start out at our previous thematical tasting video. I was introducing this wine. It's Cal Botlet Diatro blend. So it's a blend of Carignan, Grenache, Cabernet Sauvignon, Syrah, and Merlot from Priorat region, which is kind of Spain's most famous region for full-bodied Grenaches. And I mentioned in the video that if it didn't sell out during the tasting, that I would buy the rest of it myself. So it did sell out during the tasting. In fact, we still had a sample bottle, even though we had no more bottles for sale, and we were still tasting people afterwards regarding the on the tasting, and they were interested in buying more, but we didn't have any more. So there's like a little backstory to that. So this wine is we retail it at below $25, which I think is a good value. So I wanted to give kind of like some of the accolades of this wine, just to kind of put it in context a little bit. Like I said, so this wine is from Priorat. JessisRobinson.com, the wine critic who reviewed this wine, he gave it 18 points out of 20, which is on a 100-point scale, it's around 95, 96 points. So here some of the tasting notes. He was saying, exuberant, rich and dense wine showing dark fruit, black pepper, and juicy fruit. It is fully charged. Oak displays toasted and dairy aromas. It has a maximum level of extraction and concentration. The wine is youthful and still to evolve. It is a stream of fresh fruit. Without a doubt, this wine comes from the best possible grapes. It is a gorgeous wine and one of the main reasons for Priorat being such a standout region. It has everything. Robert Parker gave this wine 93 points. And then there's a gentleman called, whose name is Kevin Day. He's got a very interesting blog called Opening the Bottle. And the purpose of the blog is he goes to these less known wine regions. They are known if you're in the wine world, but if you're just a casual consumer, they're like lesser known regions. For example, he had like a great blog about some Alsatian wines. And Alsace has 52 vineyards that are designated as Grand Crus. And he concentrated on one vineyard, Brand Vineyard. And what distinguishes that vineyard is that that's the only vineyard that's actually has volcanic soil. And how the expression of the grapes from that vineyard is different than other Grand Cru vineyards. And I didn't know that until I read his blog. So it's a very educational blog. He's got other blogs where he goes to Alta Adige in northeast Italy and describes the Alpine wines in that region. I'm familiar with that region. It's a great region that a lot of people in the industry love, but consumers don't particularly buy from that region because they don't know anything about that region. So in 2018, he also put this particular wine as one of the top 10 wines of the year that he tasted. Pretty high, I think, acclaim for this wine. And this is kind of some of the things he wrote. A tremendous wine, evocative, intensely aromatic, and real showstopper. Several people in my tasting group lingered with this wine, and it just kept speaking in dark, piercing tones. And then he says, open and enjoy now. This one has entered its prime, which could be a nice long phase. So this wine is from 2011. And I think he pinpoints very interesting thing about this wine is that a lot of wines that are sold in the marketplace are not ready to be drunk. And this wine is in its prime. Like I said, I'm pinpointing kind of just the perspective of a wine. And to me, I would classify this as a spectacular value because wines that have this type of reputation do not retail for below $25. So spectacular value. And I bought about 5 cases of this wine. I had it in the wine club a couple of months back. I bought some for myself. And like I said, I was going to buy even more. And for the tasting, I wanted to purchase, additional wine cases, but it was already sold out. and I think probably, you know, somebody, some restaurant or somebody, you know, even better than a restaurant, somebody maybe tasted that wine and bought it for their own private collection. You know, probably I should have done it myself. But I think the point is, I bought like 5 cases of this wine, and I should have probably bought like 10 cases of this wine. But the problem I have is that, you know, unless I taste this wine at a tasting and a lot of people show up, I won't be able to sell it because people will just be looking at this. Oh, Priorat, never heard of this region. Carignan, what grape is that? I don't know. Let me settle for something more conservative, something that I know better, something that I see mass marketed, or if it has a pretty label and it meets my price point. Because I think that's kind of the shopping patterns. So to me, I don't think those shopping patterns get you the best wines in the marketplace. I think these wines are the best wines in the marketplace. But that's the dilemma. You know, I should have had 10 cases. I only had 5. But if I had 10 cases, I'd probably still be sitting with 5 cases. Because, you know, unless, you know, the tastings are packed, a spectacular wine like this gets unnoticed. So, you know, that's like a little, you know, background on this particular wine, why we sold out of it. And I wanted to give like a context of some other wines that I think kind of fall on the same spectrum. So the first wine would be, this is Vinous Shiraz 2014. So Leuven, this is the art series. You can see, I don't know if you can see on this label, but it's like artistic label. And this is their premium line. So their Chardonnay is probably the most known wine in the art series. I've had it before. It's a great wine. It retails for $80. Then they also have a Cabernet Sauvignon, also a great wine, retails for about $65. And this Syrah retails for $36. We retail it for $36. So let me kind of put it in the context of these wines. So once again, using Justice Robinson as kind of a level of comparison, I would say that this is kind of her scale. You know, like I said, it's a 20-point scale. So 17 points to me means about 91, 92 points on a 100-point scale. 17 and a half points means like 93 to 94. And 18 points means 95, 96. So, you know, like outstanding wine. So the Chardonnay got 17.5 points, which is an excellent score. The Cabernet Sauvignon got 17 points, which to me is also an excellent score. This wine got 18 points. So as I told you, the pricing, I mean, obviously of the 3, this is the value wine of the bunch. And yet, because the other 2 wines are kind of more mass marketed or more hyped up, they sell at a higher price point, even though in her context, this is the superior wine of the 3, even though all 3 are good. And this is kind of what she wrote about this wine. Complex and terry with very firm tannins. Still a baby, but it's very easy to see the relation with Northern Rhone. Indeed, winemaker Tim Lovett assures me it's an homage to the Rhone. Really dense, but with sleek texture and energy of a serious Northern Rhone Syrah. I think in many ways, this should be labeled Syrah, not Shiraz. It certainly has nothing to do with most Australian Shiraz. So, you know, in the sentence, she mentions Northern Rhone like 3 times, which is one of the greatest wine regions in the world. And they specialize in the birthplace of Syrah and the best expression of Syrah. And just to put it into context, I have another Côte-Rôtie, which is one of the most famous appellations in Northern Rhone. A Syrah from that appellation that also got 18 points from JusticeRobinson.com, and we retail it for 165. So, you know, 165, 36. To me, this falls once again that spectacular value range, just like this wine. So, but you know, we had it at our tasting several months back. Really positive feedback. In fact, you know, some of our customers, you know, they tried it and they really liked it. And you know, I actually encourage you guys to, if you bought this in the past, put comments, you know, below our video and kind of give your opinion of what you thought about this wine. You know, I think it'll help us out, and I think it'll help everybody out to see what a great value wine this is. Same thing. I bought everything else that was remaining from distributor, so whatever I have in stock, that's it. You know, once it sells out, there's going to be nothing left. It's gonna, in retail. All right, another example, similar. So this is from Markovitz, Austrian cuvee. It's Zweigelt, Blaufränkisch, and a little bit of Merlot. So it's mostly like 70% Zweigelt, which is one of the indigenous grapes to Austria. Bunch of interesting things about this wine. So here are some tasting notes that I got from Falstaff magazine, which is a magazine specializing in reviewing German and Austrian wines. And they gave this wine 91 points. Dark ruby garnet, violet hues, delicate brightening at the edges, delicate herbal tobacco flavor, a little nougat, a dark berry jam, fine blackberry juice, juicy, fine structure, mineral, close meshed, red cherry notes on the finish, remains well adherent, versatile. So, this wine is only retailed on the East Coast. So when I saw that the distributor had this wine, the West Coast distribution does not bring this wine in. So I asked him to, specially bring this wine in for me. And we retail it for 13 bucks, and I think it's an unbelievable steal. We actually have this wine also currently in our weekday 6-pack. So if you guys want to try that out, you get a sample of this wine. But we have one of our regulars too. I don't want to mention his name because I didn't ask for permission, but I kind of recommended this wine to him. And he tried it, and he came back and he bought 8 more bottles. And to me, that's when you hear saying wine, it's like, oh, you need to buy this by the case. Like most of the reaction is like, yeah, sure. But in this case, I think that's a perfect example of a wine you need to buy by the case. And once again, there's probably still a little bit of distribution, and we would need to reorder it from the East Coast. But it's like a spectacular wine that I go through all of these channels to try to find these deals what I think are spectacular deals. And 13 bucks, I think there's no big deal buying this one bottle of wine, because to me, you'll just gain from the experience of buying this wine. You might find like a great deal. If you don't like it, 13 bucks, relatively speaking, buying wine, it's not that big deal of dropping $13 on the wine and then saying, oh, okay, it's not to my taste profile. Just think of it on the opposite end. It might be the best 13 bucks value wine you ever had. So, all right, back to the same great value wine. This is L'Etre. This is from Castillion in Bordeaux. It's a Merlot-based wine. Once again, several customers who had this wine thought it was spectacular. In fact, this weekend, January 31st, one of our customers, he's going to be doing a special tasting where he's hosting the tasting instead of me, and he picked this wine to showcase. So there's your opportunity, to stop by and actually taste this wine before you want to buy it. But a little backstory about this wine. So it's the second label from Le Pin, and Le Pin is a wine from Pomerol that is, I don't know, you might argue one of the 10 most famous Bordeaux wines. It retails for 2,000 bucks. This one we retail for $27. So just kind of to give you a context. And Julia Hardin, she's one of the wine critics for JensenRobinson.com. She put this as wine of the week and gave this 17 plus points, which I think is a tremendous value for a Bordeaux wine. And some of the things she wrote, some of the notes are very dark crimson, almost black at the core, but bright at the rim. This smells richer, sweeter, and more intense than the second wine. Rich in blackcurrant fruit with savory dark glow to make it more than just the fruit. This is very classy wine. The tannins tell you everything. Fine, definite, building in the mouth, but in perfect balance with the fruit and freshness. Blue blood Castillion. Catch it while you can. Bingo, catch it while you can. And the reason I think she says that phrase, catch it while you can, because at this point, this is still a deal. Once it gets in the circulation, this is a spectacular wine, the price is going to escalate. In fact, I went back to see the pricing for a distributor, and this wine has already been impacted by the tariffs. It's going to be more expensive for me to reorder this wine than the initial price point that I got it for. So if it does well and I decide to reorder it, the price point is going to go up on this wine. All right. Another great selection. So this is Gaglioppo grape. This was also in our wine club selection. Wine from Calabria, once again, one of those great indigenous grapes from South Italy that it's not really known about, but you know, if you taste it, you know how good this wine is. So, and this is, you know, kind of par for the course. I can buy conservative amounts, and I should be buying more, but because it's not known wine and people cannot make the tastings, you know, I end up sometimes sitting on the stock of wine that I think is spectacular, but it's just kind of, you know, sitting there collecting dust. So this is once again Walter Speller. He's the one. He writes for JensenRobinson.com. I think he's kind of their Italian wine expert. I think he's a great critic. I love it, reading everything he does. So this is kind of the overview of this wine and kind of a little background on the grape itself. A considerable part of the vineyard that is sourced for this wine is planted in Albarello bush vines. My father told me the young vines are only to be used for rosado. This is a quote. They are to be too exuberant and the bunches are compact, which prevents the grapes from the inside of the bunches ripening. Only when the vines get older can you keep the wine longer on skins, is how Paolo Ribrandi explained the difference between the rosados and his full-blown 100% Gaglioppo. Then he goes into some of the aging process. He says 10 days on the skins, aged only in stainless steel and concrete. And here's to me is the quote that's really kind of need to pay attention to. For me, 2015 was a serious year. And this is the 2015 vintage. And I think what he implies, what a lot of kind of European wines kind of go on, is vintage. The way I read into his quote is that he's saying that this is more complex than the 2014 version of this wine. And he doesn't know what the 2016 is. At least that's not in distribution yet, so I don't know what that is. So he's saying this was a special year. So you cannot buy this wine like in the US, you know, you start buying a wine 1 year after the other. They try to replicate the same taste profile. In Europe, vintage is a big deal because different vintage brings different climate, and different climate conditions impact wines tremendously. So you know, this happens to be a great vintage for great wine, and you know, this was part of our wine club, so we retail it below $20. Once again, in the same breath, a spectacular value. And then, you know, one more. This is a wine from Oten, Petite Arvine. This was wine of the week that we introduced. The same thing. You know, here's the critic for Robert Parker's Wine Advocate. This is what he wrote about this wine. I just love the 2017 Vallee d'Aosta Petite Arvine. This gorgeous wine shines from deep inside in terms of its luminous appearance and its aromatic intensity. This glossy, polished white wine reveals flinty, mountain minerality with slate and pencil shavings, followed by white peach and mild grapefruit. The wine flows evenly over the palate thanks to its lean to mid-weight approach and natural creaminess. Fruit comes from 50-year-old vines straddling the Italian-Switzerland border. You get so much unique personality here. Another great line. You know, a lot of wines in distribution where you don't get his personality. That's the beauty of all of these wines, is the personality that you get from them. When you're tasting something special. You're tasting, you know, the fruit of the land, the fruit of a specific area. And you know, this is a perfect example of Alpine wine. You know, it's coming from the Alps, very cool climate, clean wines with a lot of personality. So to me, you know, these are some of the examples of the wines that I think are spectacular values. I mean, that's how I classify them. These spectacular values. In my definition of spectacular value, at every single price point, I'm pretty, you know, very sure that you will not find a domestic wine as good. Nowhere close to being as good as some of these wines. And you know, so like I said, you know, on our video, we're going to list out all these wines, so you'll be able to click on the links and go to the website to get more information about them. And please comment what you thought about this video. I'll love to hear your feedback on my kind of philosophical take on these wines. And once again, I kind of order these wines in conservative amounts, but I should be ordering them in much bigger amounts, because it's almost like treasure troves of wine. Like most wines are not that this good at all these price points. And like for example, right now I'm actually let me get a wine that kind of the same thing. This is Herada de Rosim, is the producer for Portugal. This wine comes from Lisboa, which is in the region in the vicinity of Lisbon, the capital city of Portugal. And it's a 2010 vintage. So once again, similar to this wine, it's got some age on it. It's made from Touriga Nacional, Aragonés, and Syrah. So Touriga Nacional and Syrah are full-bodied, big tannic wines. So 2010, it should be in their this wine should be in its prime right now also. Aragonés, I don't know, it's one of those grapes I've never heard of until right now, but Portugal has the second most indigenous grapes next to Italy. So it's once again a treasure trove of like interesting wine grapes. So like I'll open it up right now and kind of taste it and kind of see what I think of it on the spot. So like I said, guys, please comment about any of the wines that you see. You can reach out to me, through the comments or through our store, and you can ask additional questions. We try to taste as many of these wines as possible during like our tastings. But if you miss the tasting, I just think you come to the store and I'll give you a recommendation of what I think are spectacular values. So, all right. Vallee de Mare is the name of the cuvée. Like I said, Touriga Nacional, Aragonés, and Syrah. Beautiful nose on this wine. Okay, kind of smell dark fruit. The tannin structure is still there. I mean, I'm drinking it, there's still fruit on it, and there's still some tannins. I'll retaste this wine, like probably in 40 minutes, and see how it tastes then. You might open up more, or it might close out altogether. So that's how I'll retaste it and I'll kind of make a decision. Do I want to bring in this wine to the store or not? It's not that complex. Right now on the opening, I like this wine. So once again, guys, please comment on the video, and if you have any questions, just reach out to me directly. Thank you so much.